Hello, in this video I'll show you how you can use Retopology to create details very quickly and to give yourself a nice workflow in 3ds Max. Now a lot of people think that polygons like obsolete by this point and then you can't really do anything with them, but I'm going to show you how you can very quickly create some very nice details using new polygon tools such as Retopology that makes a lot of things much easier and faster. So let's go ahead and start with a plane and just get some basic shapes out of the way. And by the way guys, if you don't like this result right here, you can simply switch this to use model assist mode and then we'll get rid of that. So here what I would do, for example, is just kind of connect these vertices and maybe delete this. And so let's have this as our starting point. Alright, so two things I recommend is that always have a backup of this just in case. Always have a backup of your simple object. That can come in handy. And second is, when you add the details here, don't just go with a small amount like this unless you have some really simple details. Go with a higher amount because you want to capture the curvature. And the reason for this, guys, is because like if I go in right now and I just add a lot of details here, alright, and let's say that I go ahead and delete that, right? So I got this kind of detail like here, and I'm going to go ahead and just delete the left half. So the problem now is because of how simple it is, if I do Retopology now and I do, let's say, 5,000, as you can see, it makes things very angular here because it can't quite create complexity and smoothness if you have a very angular result. So like here I have to go with something like maybe 55 and then maybe that will kind of work a lot better. But of course we lose the benefit of having more complexity here. So it's a good idea to go with a higher amount, such as 2 or 3. The other thing here, guys, is that if you're using, for example, cut. I recommend using cut with split. If you're doing this right here, and you're getting this kind of detail here, you can then go into element and kind of delete that. But what I recommend is instead of deleting it, you simply just detach that. So kind of keep this here. So even if you don't want that, kind of keep it there, kind of hidden, maybe hide it, because it may come in handy at some point. So if you're going to delete something, don't get rid of it entirely because it may come in handy. Alright, so anyways, that's pretty much what we do, guys. We get our very basic block out here, and so what's very nice is, one very nice thing about polygons is how you can very quickly get different results just by moving around a few vertices. You know, you get some really cool things here just by doing a little bit of connect here, and just by doing a little bit of cut here. You can very easily get all sorts of details just by moving things around. Alright, so let's say we're satisfied with this being our initial shape. So we can just kind of, play around with this. Insert loops through here to sharpen things up. So we can very easily, for example, turn on edge constraints, make some parts sharper, make some parts smoother, just moving on vertices. So very nice feature of using support loops. Also can run into some nice accidental results as well. So in this situation, I'm not worried about topology or triangles or anything like that. I'm just exploring shapes. Alright, so once you've got that, go ahead and bump it up to, 2 or 3. And I'm going to go ahead and delete the left half. Alright, so now what we do is we go in here with using cut with the split option on, and we can very easily just kind of get the kind of details that we want. We can get very complex with details here. We can attach that and maybe just move it off to the side. See, because its pivot is still right here, no matter how we move it, we can always just kind of select this and just kind of right click to move it back to 0, and it's right there. We can very easily just have things off to the side. So we can go in here and get the kind of details that we want. Split things apart. I will temporarily or just kind of change object color so we can just see the differences. We can also, for example, select this and then just kind of grow that. We can do things like this as well. Then we can just cut like so and get this. And we can separate that as well. Let's give this a different color here. Alright, so let's just use split with cut again. Alright. Getting that right there. And then we can go in here and get a smaller detail here. And then go in here, get even smaller detail here. So we're gonna have fun getting these kind of details, and then we can split them all up and get us a different object color. There we go. So as you can see, guys, we can have fun adding all sorts of details here. We can do things like cutting shapes like this. Now what I would do is switch to element, select this, switch back to polygon, and then use this, just weld on the vertices back. But when you switch back to polygon, those are still selected here. So essentially, we use the cut feature, we use cut with split, so that could easily go into elements and actually select it, but we don't actually want it to be split because we want it to be a separate, we want it to be the same object right here. So now we're going to element. Because we roll the vertices, it's not that anymore, so we're just using that just to select it quickly. Alright, and we can very easily, for example, use hinge from edge. It's a nice way of getting some fancy features here, but we will need to go ahead and just quickly weld this. Control A and just weld, so we get these very nice results as well. Alright guys, so I just want to show different ways you can add details very quickly here. However, that's just the beginning, because now when we use retopology, obviously right now if we go ahead and turbo smooth or use creases, we get a very bad result. This is where retopology comes in handy. So all you gotta do is just retopology, you know, set a good value, 255, let's try 125 real quick. You know, and as you can see, we are now ready to maybe shell this. Maybe that's too much. And we are ready to just add even more nice little details here. Sometimes you may want to clean things up, so you just turn on edge constraints, kind of move this here, straighten this out. Right. Symmetry. And so what I like to do, guys, is to use data channel. Alright, we're going to use the auto edge crease weights. We're gonna activate it, turn off enable display. I mean, the colors here show us where it's taking place. So the sharper it is, the more it will be red. So I'm gonna turn off enable display. I like to go into curve and activate normalize. And so what that would do is then we apply open subdiv on top. That will automatically crease things for us. This is without it, this is with it. So saves us the trouble having to manually crease it, as well as support loops. And also, we may eventually want to go and use crease set to have more control, but this is just a very good temporary quick solution for that. Alright, you know, we can select this. Once again, retopology, choose a good value, and you'll get better at choosing good values. It's pretty much just go with something like this. You know, once again, shell. Let's go a little bit of an inner amount if we need to, maybe decrease the outer amount, and there we go, guys. And so once again, we can select this and simply copy all these modifiers and paste them right here, and apply a poly on top with, let's say, one iteration, and we now have more details to work with. Combine things like regularizer, and just get some nice details like so. Paste those things, and there we go. You know, in this situation, for example, we may not even need to make that many changes. I mean, it kind of has pretty good topology by default. So in this situation, you can choose to manually clean things up, or you can use retopology. Right now I can see it's to 222, so let's use 200 here. You can go ahead and press enter on statistics, or you can go into here plus configure viewports. Statistics, show statistics in active view, polygon, edge, vertex, maybe triangle selection. There you go. Apply and OK. This can help you to select a good number for retopology. As you can see, 200 matches quite nicely. You can see how kind of this right here, we kind of have this these stretch polygons, but with retopology, it kind of eliminates that. Just makes it easier to add further detail here. You can also add details such as, using the by polygon option. So sometimes some quick little details like so. But for this, it may be better off just to use a nice texture on this. But sometimes you want some geometry here as well. Alright, let's do this one. Looks like 100 would be a good option. There we go. Sometimes we get some angular results like this, so that's because it sees this as sharp angles here. We can always fix it up using Creases. Alright, so the most complex one is this one right here. Before we do this one, we want to fix up some smoothing group issues here. So we're going to use smooth and then auto smooth. And the default value is not too bad, but we do need to fix up, let's see. We will go ahead and fix up this right here. I just want to get rid of that. Just get rid of these polygons. And I also want to change the smoothing group here because otherwise it's going to try and smooth it together. So what I'm going to do is use by angle with a lower value and select that and give that a separate smoothing value. And perhaps do a little bit of work on this as well. Alright, we'll give that a separate value. And perhaps this right here. Alright, so it looks like it's 481. Let's try 450 with the retopology. Oh, 450. Alright. Looks like it's gonna be a problem right there. Let's see what's happening with it. Right, I want to go ahead and weld the vertices. Looks like there was some sort of a welding problem here. Let's see if that fixed it. Alright. And let's also maybe use a different smoothing group on this. Alright, retopology, let's redo that. As you can see now I have much better results here. So sometimes just small little fixes like that. When you do retopology, sometimes it just kind of does this to the smoothing groups. So even though it looks very smooth here, it actually is quite sharp here. So it fixed it up nicely for us guys, and look at that. Instead of having to deal with this right here, we now have this. So we're ready for further detail. This right here may be caused by the shell. Shell doesn't always work very well. So if shell does not work very well, what you can do is simply go into the border level and just kind of extrude this back, assuming this will not be seen. You can see it works well in many situations, but the problem here is that using data channel, it can't quite tell this is supposed to be sharp. I, as an artist, for example, I know that I want this to be sharp, but you can see it's barely any kind of sharpness right here, so data channel won't interpret this as smoothness. So that's one of those things. But you can fix it by going down Shift, selecting this, or actually let's just go ahead and hold Shift on the edge level. Alright, we can do this right here. and we can go ahead and crease this. Now by default, when you go into data channel, it is set to edge output replace, which means it's going to replace those edges. But you can use add, it's going to add to it instead. So it's going to say the things you manually did right here, and it's going to add to it as opposed to replacing it. And we can set this to be, depending on how powerful your computer is and how fast it wants to be, probably 2 is a good value, but 3 may be a little bit more accurate right here, but it will slow things down. So there you go, guys. Now you have a way to add really nice details very quickly. All right, what is happening right here? It looks like it's not quite handling this. Let's see what the problem is with this. All right, first I want to check for extra vertices. All right, so for some reason, it's not capturing these edges as being sharp. I am not sure why, but let's help the program out. Let's help data channel out by selecting this, using by angle, and let's hold down shift to select the border edges, and we're going to give this crease value of, let's say, 0.16, and there we go. So as you can see, guys, with this you can get some really cool details very quickly, and you can get really impressive results. This is just a very basic demonstration of what you can do with this. You can go much further. And because the topology is so simple, you can very easily just kind of get new pieces here. Here we can use chamfer. Then we can double click on this edge to select it. Use push to push that edge selection inwards. Now we've got this very quick panel line detail. And we just need to go ahead and move this a little bit to the left. There we go. What we can do, for example, we can use edge constraints just to kind of smooth this out here. And get this right here. So we can very easily modify things and add to it. Here it's not really worth retopologizing the whole thing just to kind of get rid of that end gone, so you can just kind of sneakily get rid of that, just kind of tucking it on some here. That really works. It's not really worth getting rid of. Once again, we can use replace. We can go ahead and hold control, double click here, hold shift to convert to border edges, and just kind of give this 0.2. There we go. Once again, this is not perfect here because we're getting some strangeness right here. Sometimes you may want to just kind of clean things up or see what's happening here exactly. But a lot of this will be fixed by either using, maybe adding some creases to this, or just for certain sections not using creases and just using regular old support loops will work better for some situations. Alright guys, cool details done very quickly. I could just keep showing you for hours how you can add different details. And I know a lot of people would like that, but like to keep my videos a little bit concise, guys. I'm trying to work on making them concise and not just a bunch of rambling. So we gotta end at some point, don't we, guys? So this is not ideal topology. You don't really want to have this 5-edge vertex on the edge right here, but sometimes you can get away with it. And sometimes all you need to do is just kind of move things a little bit here, and that creates a nice little soft detail as well. So as you can see, guys, you can use polygons in 3ds Max along with Retopology to get very impressive results very quickly. Thank you for watching and take care.